The people of Beirut have today made clear their fury at the Lebanese government after the massive explosion in the city's port, which killed at least 137 people and injured more than 5,000. The death toll is expected to rise as rescue workers keep digging through the rubble. Around 300,000 people are now temporarily homeless. Crowds besieged the French President Emmanuel Macron, the first world leader to visit the devastated city. Mr. Macron, whose country shares close ties with Lebanon, called for an urgent response to the country's political and economic crisis. Our Middle East correspondent Quentin Sommerville is in Beirut now.
Sophie, there's still understandably a lot of pain here, a lot of suffering, a lot of grief. But there's also a lot of anger too. How did this terrible catastrophe happen? Well, Lebanese politicians are nowhere to be seen. Lebanon was once a French colony, so France's president arrived here today and he got the people's anger full blast. France's president said he was here to bring home truths to Lebanon's politicians. He received an earful of them in Beirut's Jumeirah neighbourhood. They stopped clearing up their shattered homes and streets and begged for help.
Please help us! Please! Do something about us!
French president is being pulled in all directions behind me. There's a great deal of anger here among Lebanese people. Some are calling for a revolution. Others are telling them that there needs to be political change in this country. Most are just asking for help. Their own president they declaimed as a terrorist. And as they've demanded for nearly a year now, they called for thawra, a revolution. One woman, angry that the government wasn't doing enough to find the dead and injured, let rip. In the country's hour of need, it was a foreign leader who listened. Few Lebanese politicians dare get this close. The French president spoke to Ada Hoche.
He said we must try our best again and again. We shall do this because for our children, the future of our children, because although we are all desperate, because we had enough, we are hopeless in this country. Every time we try to do some project or we don't have dreams anymore. We don't have dreams.
Car au-delà de l'explosion, nous savons que la crise ici est grave.
We know that the crisis here is serious and implies a historical responsibility on the part of the leaders in place. It is a political, moral, economic and financial crisis of which the Lebanese people are the first victims.
But some in Lebanon can't yet worry about the future. They're too lost in the present. The Sheikh family hold a vigil outside the gates of the docks. They take it in turns. Zainab is searching for her husband, Ali Musin. He had a good job until Lebanon's economic crisis. 2 months ago, he started work at the port for just a few dollars a day. We've been here for days, she told me. No one came to hear our cries and no one tells us whether he's alive or dead. If it was any of their sons missing, they would be moving heaven and earth. For us, no one has showed up. This was Lebanon's lifeline to the world and it's now in ruins. This is what's left of the country's electricity provider. It barely functioned before the explosion. Rebuilding this will take billions. Whole neighbourhoods have been abandoned. A job like this will require international effort. And tonight, the anger boils over again. More fury at their leaders who don't appear to be listening. Their response in Lebanon's hour of need was more tear gas. The government's incompetence has brought tragedy here. It may unleash much more. Sophie, let's remember that almost a year ago the people of Lebanon took to the streets and they demanded change, an end to political corruption and mismanagement. But it wasn't enough. What bigger symbol is there of this country's terrible dysfunction than this disaster which took place and literally ripped the country apart? It's hard to see how in this enormous aftermath that those calls for change can continue to be ignored.
Quentin Sommerville with the latest there from Beirut. Thank you.